We're talking Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Who hasn't heard of this one?
Right.
It's the story of how Kiyosaki, growing up...
Two dads, two totally different money mindsets.
Yeah. Gave him, well, some pretty contrasting views on how to handle...
money. Yeah.
Money, exactly. And I think that's why so many people, maybe even you listening right now, are so drawn to this book. You want to crack the code, right? You want to know how to build real wealth. We're going to unpack those core principles from Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah. And who knows, by the end, you might just find yourself looking at your own finances in a whole new light.
It's a powerful book.
Super powerful. Okay, let's jump right in. One of the stories that always sticks with me is 9-year-old Kiyosaki working for his rich dad, making like 10 cents an hour.
A pittance.
Right. He's like, what's going on here? He felt totally ripped off.
Of course.
But his rich dad used that whole experience to teach him something super important, something that, honestly, most people never even realize about themselves.
What's that?
That they're stuck. Yeah. Stuck in the cycle of working for money
instead of
the other way around.
Instead of having their money work for them.
Right.
It's such a powerful analogy. Have you ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're working harder and harder.
Longer hours,
but you're not really getting ahead.
The bills keep piling up.
Yeah, the bills keep piling up. It's like you're on this treadmill.
Yeah.
But the finish line
keeps getting further away.
Keeps getting further and further away, right?
Exactly.
That's that feeling of working for money, not the other way around. But
the question is, how do you change that?
Right. How do we flip the script? And that's where Rich Dad, Poor Dad dives into this whole idea of
assets and liabilities. Assets versus liabilities.
Which a lot of people.
Huge.
Yeah, it could really blow your mind.
It's a game changer. It's not just about saving money. It's about really understanding what your money is doing.
Where is it going?
Exactly. Kiyosaki's definition, it's pretty straightforward. An asset puts money in your pocket.
Okay.
A liability takes money out.
Makes sense.
But.
There's a but.
There's a but. He doesn't stop there, right? He pushes you to examine, really examine what you've always thought of as an asset.
What we've been taught.
Yeah, what we've been taught. Think about his story about arguing with his poor dad about their houses.
Oh, yeah, that one's a good one.
Both making mortgage payments, right?
Responsible homeowners, both of them.
But totally different mindsets.
One's stressed.
Oh, for sure.
Drained,
yeah.
The other one's like, this is an investment.
An investment.
Yeah. It's all about,
cash flow.
Cash flow.
That's the key. So let me throw this at you. Your car, asset or liability?
Ooh, good question.
Right. That online course you just took.
Interesting.
Or those concert tickets.
Those are tricky.
Kiyosaki would say, look at the CHF logo.
Is it coming in or is it going out?
Is it going out? Is it putting money in your pocket?
That's the real test.
It's about training yourself to think like an investor in every area of your life. And this leads us to another big idea in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Which is?
Minding your own business.
Right.
Now, hold on. This doesn't mean, quit your job tomorrow, start a company.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. But it does mean thinking beyond just that paycheck.
Thinking bigger.
Thinking bigger, yeah. What are you passionate about that could actually generate income?
Find that thing you love.
Yeah, think about Ray Kroc McDonald's, right? He said he wasn't in the hamburger business.
Really?
He was in the real estate business.
That's interesting.
That's the underlying asset,
What's your real estate?
Yeah. What's the underlying asset or skill that powers your current work? Are you really leveraging it? Could you use it in a totally different way to create an income-generating asset?
Good stuff.
So much of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is about shifting your perspective, breaking free from how we've been taught to think about money and work.
It's a whole new way of looking at things.
Totally. But it's not all just strategies and tactics, right?
And a mental game, too.
Yeah, Kiyosaki gets deep into the psychology of wealth building. He talks about these 5 major roadblocks that can really hold people back.
What are those?
Calls them fear, cynicism, laziness.
Oh, that one.
I know, right?
Bad habits. Yeah, we all have those.
And arrogance.
Other things.
Right. And he's like, look, we all struggle with these things.
To some extent.
To some extent, yeah. But the key, he says, is to recognize them, to be self-aware, and then, come up with strategies to overcome them.
Which one resonates with you the most?
Oh, good question.
We all have our Achilles heel.
That's true. And he gives these great examples, remember the Alamo story.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
It's all about turning fear into motivation.
Yeah.
Using those moments of doubt to push you forward.
Fear can be a powerful motivator if you channel it the right way.
Exactly. It's like achieving financial freedom.
It's not just about the numbers.
It's not just about the numbers. It's about mastering your mindset.
Which he says is often the biggest obstacle.
Absolutely. And that leads us to some of the more, advanced ideas in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like this belief that money...
Wait, what?
Yeah, he says money is just an idea.
Money is an idea.
An idea. That real financial genius, it's not about working hard. It's about creating opportunities.
Creating opportunities.
Yeah, it's about, inventing money.
Wow, inventing money. I've never thought about it like that.
Right. It challenges you to think way outside the box. Are you seeing money as this thing you just earn, or are you open to the possibility that you can actually create it?
I like that. Create it.
Okay, picture this. Kiyosaki buys a foreclosed house for $20,000.
Okay.
Turns around, sells it for $60,000.
Nice flip.
He didn't earn that $40,000 in the traditional sense.
He created value.
He created it by spotting an opportunity, adding value, right? That's what inventing money is all about. It's about seeing those possibilities that other people miss. And that's where the cash outflow quadrant comes in. It's this...
Okay, yeah, the quadrant.
Yeah, it's like a map, right? It helps you understand how people relate to money and where you fit in.
Where you are and where you want to be.
Exactly. Imagine this. 4 quadrants. We got employee,
okay,
self-employed,
bought it,
business owner, and investor.
The 4 ways to make money.
Yeah, the 4 main approaches, right? Most people, they start out in the employee quadrant,
right,
trading their time for that paycheck.
Makes sense.
Some make the leap to self-employed, which is great.
More freedom.
More freedom, but they're still tied to their own efforts,
Right.
But the real magic, the wealth-building magic, it happens in those other 2 quadrants.
Business owner and investor.
Business owner and investor, those are the folks who've figured out how to make their money work for them.
They've got systems in place.
Systems, assets, yeah. So think about it. Where do you see yourself in this quadrant right now?
And more importantly...
And where do you want to be?
That's the question.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about moving toward those quadrants where your income...
It's not tied to your time.
Isn't tied to your time, to your effort. Right?
It's about freedom.
Freedom. And it's not just about, getting rich. It's about having more choices, more freedom to pursue those passions, to live life on your terms,
Yeah, to design your ideal life.
Exactly. We've covered a lot of ground already.
Barely scratched the surface.
Barely scratched the surface, right.
Before we go any further, let's just take a second.
Yeah.
What's resonating with you?
Oh, that's good.
Out of everything we've talked about so far.
It's so easy to get caught up in, the stories.
Yeah, the big picture stuff.
Yeah, the big picture. But for me, one thing that always stands out with Kiyosaki is his emphasis on self-discipline.
Ah, yeah.
Especially when it comes to,
managing money.
Your money, yeah.
Not easy.
Not easy.
He's a big fan of that pay yourself first principle.
Oh, yeah.
From, what was it, The Richest Man in Babylon?
George Clason, yeah.
Hit.
Good book.
But Kiyosaki, he doesn't just tell you to do it. He shows you how.
Yeah, that's important.
It is.
He uses those financial statement diagrams.
Right.
Income statement, balance sheet.
Yules.
Yeah. To illustrate the difference between the folks who pay themselves first and the folks who, don't.
They're pretty eye-opening.
It's mind-blowing when you see it laid out like that. It's like...
Oh, what's the difference?
It highlights the difference between a reactive approach to money and a proactive approach.
Uh-huh.
So
the people who pay themselves first.
They're automatically funneling money into their asset column. Even before they pay their bills, it's like
they're prioritizing their future selves.
They're prioritizing their future. Yeah. It's like building this financial engine.
In the background.
Yeah, constantly working in the background to generate more wealth. And you know what I find really inspiring?
That's it.
Kiyosaki admits there were times when he was struggling, but he still paid himself first, even when his accountant thought he was nuts.
That's commitment.
Serious discipline, especially when you're feeling that pressure. But that's what separates, I think, the people who build lasting wealth from those who are constantly chasing it. It's playing the long game, right? Delaying that gratification so you can build a really solid financial foundation.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't mean neglecting your current obligations.
Right. Still got to pay your bills.
Yeah. Got to be responsible.
Manage your debt.
Of course. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad is encouraging that shift in priorities.
Shift your focus.
Yeah, start by building up your assets.
Okay.
And then allow yourself those extras.
It's about building that muscle, that pay yourself first muscle.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you find yourself coming up short, Kiyosaki says, let that pressure motivate you.
Oh, I like that.
Get creative.
Yeah.
Find ways to generate more income, reduce your expenses, maybe even like barter your skills.
Be resourceful.
He's all about turning those financial challenges into opportunities for growth.
I like that mindset.
Yeah. He's also a big advocate of building a strong network of financial advisors.
Oh, yeah.
It's like your personal board of directors.
Gotcha.
You need that team of experts, people who can help you navigate the complexities of, investing and wealth building.
So not just like any financial advisor.
He's very specific about this.
Okay, what does he look for? He looks for advisors who are actively involved in the areas they advise on. So, for example, like if he's interviewing a real estate broker, he asks them, like, how much property do you own? How are you using real estate to build your own wealth?
You have to walk the walk.
Yeah, it's about finding alignment, making sure your advisors have skin in the game.
Makes sense.
And remember, it's a two-way street, right? Kiyosaki, he believes in compensating those advisors generously.
Oh, yeah.
Because their expertise, it can lead to, like, serious financial gains.
Makes sense.
He sees it as an investment in his own success.
Like paying a premium for a really good guide.
Exactly. A skilled guide through a challenging terrain. Okay, this next concept, it's pretty interesting. Kiyosaki talks about being an Indian giver.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we need some context here to avoid any misconceptions.
Right.
He's referring to how, like, early European settlers, they totally misunderstood this cultural practice.
Of Native Americans?
Yeah, of some Native Americans, right? Where, like, a settler might be given a blanket when they were cold.
To help them out.
But then they'd get offended when the Native American later asked for it back.
They didn't understand the cultural context.
Right. It wasn't about, like, giving it away permanently. It was about sharing resources.
Yeah.
And Kiyosaki, he uses this anecdote to illustrate a really powerful principle in investing.
What's that?
This idea of leveraging assets to generate a return.
To get something back.
To get something back. Like, imagine buying a foreclosure, using it as a short-term rental,
Okay.
and then selling it for a profit.
Nice.
You get your initial investment back, PLUS, some extra on top.
You're not taking advantage. You're just being smart.
Exactly. It's not about taking advantage. It's about playing the game strategically.
Yeah.
And that ties into another big point he makes,
Which is
the importance of always seeking new knowledge, like mastering one formula and then moving on to the next. He's a lifelong learner, always expanding his financial intelligence.
So how do you do that?
Attending seminars, reading books, taking classes, surrounding yourself with people who know their stuff.
Be a sponge. Soak it all up.
Especially in today's world, things are changing so fast. It's not about what you already know. It's about how quickly you can learn.
Yeah, adaptability.
He also talks about finding mentors and heroes.
Interesting.
Yeah, like people who inspire you, who make that path to wealth seem achievable,
Who are your financial heroes?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who are those people who make it look easy, who give you that if they can do it, I can do it too feeling?
Makes you believe it's possible.
We all need that inspiration, especially when we're stepping outside of our comfort zones,
Absolutely. Anything else?
Oh, and one last thing. Kiyosaki, he emphasizes the power of giving back.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like sharing your knowledge and your resources with others. He believes that generosity, it's a key ingredient in building true wealth.
Interesting. What's that saying he quotes?
Oh, he often says God does not need to receive, but humans need to give. It's a good reminder, right? That true wealth, it's about way more than just money.
It's about having an abundance mindset.
Abundance mindset, yeah. And contributing to the well-being of others. He actually shares that. Whenever he's felt, financially strapped, he focuses on giving first. And it's always come back to him in some form.
Interesting.
It's about creating that positive flow of energy, that sense of abundance.
I like that.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, some really powerful concepts about money and wealth, but now it's time to,
Bring it home?
Bring it home.
Yeah.
How do we apply these ideas, create real financial freedom in our own lives? That's the big question.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And one of the things I appreciate about Kiyosaki's approach is how he breaks down the different ways we earn money. We got earned income, passive income, and portfolio income.
The three amigos.
The three amigos. He's really challenging that whole, traditional idea of trading your time for money.
The 9-to-5 grind.
The grind, yeah. Remember that line from his rich dad? The rich don't work for money, They have their money work for them. That's the essence of passive and portfolio income, right?
You're not trading hours for dollars.
Exactly. Most of us, we start out with earned income, our paychecks.
Right.
But passive income, it's about creating assets that generate money without you having to constantly work for it.
Okay, give me some examples.
Okay, so think about rental properties collecting royalties, or maybe you build a business that runs smoothly even when you're not there.
Working for you 24/7.
247. And then you got portfolio income.
Which is?
This is where you're making your money work for you through investments, things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
Okay.
Think about like Warren Buffett. He built incredible wealth through investing. That's the power of portfolio income.
So Kiyosaki's saying,
He's saying the path to financial freedom.
it's about shifting your focus.
Yeah, shifting your focus from earned income
To
those other two, passive and portfolio.
Got it. Create those income-generating machines.
Yeah, those machines that work for you while you're sleeping.
Sounds pretty good.
It does sound pretty good. And here's where that cash flow quadrant comes back into play.
The quadrant. Yeah.
It's like a visual roadmap, right? It helps you see where you are financially and where you want to go.
Employee, self-employed.
Business owner, investor, the 4 quadrants.
Right.
Most people, they start in the employee quadrant.
Trading time for money.
Trading time for money. Some jump to self-employed, which is great,
More freedom.
but they're still, limited by what they can personally do.
Uh-huh.
But the real wealth-building magic,
Happens in
business owner and investor,
those top 2.
the top 2. Imagine this. You're in the investor quadrant.
Okay.
You're not trading your time for money anymore.
You're free.
You're free. Your investments are generating income. You could be pursuing your passions, traveling the world.
Sipping margaritas on a beach.
Exactly. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it doesn't just throw out these big concepts. It gives you actual practical advice.
Strategies you can use.
Specific strategies to get started on your journey to financial freedom.
Right.
One of the things Kiyosaki really stresses is starting small.
Okay.
Finding those low-hanging fruit opportunities.
Easy wins.
Yeah, that can help you gain experience, build confidence.
Get some momentum.
He tells that story about turning a small $5,000 investment
Into it.
$1 million asset.
Wow.
It's about recognizing that even those small steps, taken consistently over time,
They can lead to.
massive results.
He's all about
Playing the long game.
the long game.
Not getting discouraged by setbacks and always learning,
Never stop learning.
which is another key point. Invest in your financial education.
You can never know too much.
Right. Kiyosaki, he's a huge believer in continuous learning.
Okay.
Mastering one formula,
And
and then moving on to the next one. Attend seminars, read books, take classes, network with those who are already successful.
surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely. But
Oh,
remember,
What's that?
don't just blindly follow someone else's formula.
Okay.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's about opening your mind,
Some new possibilities.
challenging those old ways of thinking about money, and figuring out what works for you.
Find your own path.
What's the one big takeaway you're walking away with today?
Financial freedom. It's within your reach.
It is.
It's not about luck. It's about making those conscious choices.
Yeah.
Developing that financial intelligence.
Taking action.
Taking action. It all starts with a single step.
So what's that one small step you can take today to move closer to your financial goals? Maybe it's picking up a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Or having a conversation with a financial advisor.
Or setting up that budget you've been putting off.
Whatever it is, take that first step.
Even a tiny action can set you on the path to a brighter financial future.
Absolutely. And remember, the journey to financial freedom.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Enjoy the ride.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you found it valuable.
And empowering.
Now go out there and start building that financial freedom you deserve.